down the road, but we look back and wonder if there was more we should have done when we were young. And tell our children that the mess we're living under started when the few spoke for everyone. Because it's easy to be distant when we feel so independent in our earth. Living in you, a sacred word connecting one and all. We are earth, composed for harmony. Glory revealed, we are earth. We have a voice in our own restoration. We are being called to be God's hands and feet. So we demand a just and fair transition, sustaining all creation. For the least of these, we are earth. Living in you, a sacred word connecting one and all. We are earth, composed for harmony. Glory revealed, we are
Welcome. I'm Jim Peters, today's worship associate. It's great to be here with you this morning at the Unitarian Universalist congregation at Shelter Rock. Whether you're here for the first time or have been with us for years, once again, welcome. If you are new, we hope you find this place of warmth, curiosity, and connection. We gather here each Sunday to reconnect with what is most important, to remember that we are not alone in our journey. Unitarian Universalism is a faith of the open heart and the open mind. We find wisdom in nature, in science, in the stories of our lives, and the values we share: love, compassion, and justice. This community calls us to live those values. It's not just about what we believe, it's about how we show up for each other and the world. We're glad you are here today, whether you are seeking connection, peace, or just a moment of reflection. If you are visiting, join us for lunch and conversation in the social hall after the service. I'd like to share some invitations to community. We will celebrate the life of UUCSR member Dr. Jeffrey Schiff today at 2 p.m. in this worship room. A reception will follow in the social hall. On Sunday, October 6th, beginning at 4 p.m., the First Unitarian Church will hold a dedication ceremony of their new building, which is now ready for them to move into. There will be a reception following the dedication. Join Reverend Dr. Natalie Fenimore in our monthly in-person book discussion at 12:30 p.m. in the Bride's Room. Bring your lunch from the UU Cafe or from elsewhere. The book for October 6th is titled Somehow, Thoughts on Love by Anne Lamont. Books are available from Amazon, the UUA in Spirit bookstore, or our bookstore. Registration is requested for those interested in attending. Our Music and Performing Arts Committee presents Cabaret at the Rock with Susan Viverito as artistic director. All are invited. Come share your talent. Contact Susan Viverito by October 1st to secure a spot on the program. Rehearsals will begin on Saturday, October 5th. Speaking about music, the jazz concert by the Matt Musselman Trio is happening on October 13th. Please visit Church Center to book your seats. On Sunday, October 6th at 1 p.m., Diana Wolfson and Reverend Dr. Carl Olson will lead the Death Cafe in the Art Gallery. It is a discussion group rather than a grief or counseling session. Admission is free, but you must register online. Pick up a flyer in the lobby. Today's service invites us to reflect on our relationship with the earth and the deep connection between climate justice and social justice. Caring for the planet means caring for each other. May we be reminded of the love that sustains us all. Let's take a moment to settle in, breathe deeply, and open ourselves to this time of reflection and renewal.
Just wait a second, Jim. Wait a minute, okay? Just wait a minute. Wait a second. I just wanted to say this morning, reflecting on the love that sustains us all in this work that we do of justice, of making our world a better and safer and more sustainable place for everyone, that any of you who were wanting to come to the climate revival activities this weekend, who may have been disappointed that we didn't have any that happened on Saturday, I just want to remind us that this work is ongoing and something that we must sustain ourselves in doing. And so our apologies to any of you who were disappointed to see that we didn't have those activities on Saturday. And one of the reasons that it turned out that way was there weren't enough folks who were interested in offering activities yesterday. And so this is an invitation to all of you, to any of you who are interested in this work and want to see more of it happening here, to speak with me, because we have access to wonderful materials that the UUA put together for the climate revival. And we can put them on, we can do those programs anytime. But we need the input, the commitment, the ownership of the community to bring this work forward. So consider this your invitation to do that.
We lit our chalice this morning, and as we do so, we join congregations all over the country participating in the climate justice revival. I share these words from the Reverend Megan Foley. When Unitarian Universalists light our chalice, we are doing more than moving a bit of flame from a little stick to our favorite candle. When we light our chalices, we are showing what happens when we harness the power of fire. Fire is one of our world's most sacred elements, perhaps because it always causes change. Fire warms and feeds, fire destroys and eliminates. And with a bit of attention and care, fire works with us to reveal, literally to illuminate. Fire helps us to see and survive, and so fire is an especially sacred symbol today at our climate justice revival because we are in need of change. We are in need of warmth and sustenance, and we need to clear a bright new path for ourselves and for our world. May this cup of captured fire be a symbol today of our passion, our care, our brilliance in the face of great need. Like fire, we are powerful, and like fire, we create change. May it be so. And please join me, please arise in body or in spirit for hymn number 163, For the Earth Forever Turning.
Words of affirmation. We love the doctrine of this congregation. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve human need. This we do affirm and covenant with each other. Good. Be seated, please. Each Sunday, we take up a special collection to extend our vision of a beloved community by supporting work in the world which addresses human need. During the month of September, our collection goes to support the work of Green Faith. Green Faith brings together people of all faiths and spiritualities to work for climate justice. As a community of faith acting out of love for people and the planet, we work to stop new fossil fuel projects and provide universal access to clean energy and clean jobs. You may send money to donate@uucsr.org, the whole list there, or drop a check in the collection box in the main lobby, or mail a check to the UUCSR Finance Office. Please enter September offering in the memo line. Lastly, you can go to the giving page on the UUCSR.org to set up a one-time or recurring payment. From the Gray Hymnal, please join us in singing hymn number 175. Please rise if you're able.
We celebrate the web of life. Amen. In this revival, we are reimagining climate justice for a new era, one that is at the intersection of the climate crisis and the deep justice commitments of our congregation and our faith. Let us move into a time of reimagining. I invite you now to close your eyes. Imagine with me that it's the year 2050, and we've achieved all of our wildest hopes and goals for collective liberation. All lives are flourishing, not just a few. What is present in this reimagined reality? Maybe for you, it's the end of hunger and poverty. Maybe it's a global economy that meets everyone's needs and protects the planet. Maybe the reality is vast networks of mutual aid, neighbor caring for neighbor. And maybe you hope for all of this and more. But let's, for a moment, allow our wildest hopes to come forward. What is present in your reimagining? Spirit of life, we pray for justice for the communities on the front line of the climate crisis who are impacted worst and longest by climate change. We pray for those who have been affected by Hurricane Helene, where we've seen immense destruction and suffering. We pray for the loved ones of the 64 people who were killed. We pray for ourselves here in this congregation, that our hearts be open to the shared work of liberation, caring for those in need, and committing to create a world of flourishing. We know we are a part of a larger social change ecosystem. May we reflect on the offerings we can joyfully and reliably bring to our shared work. Reimagining together, we celebrate the web of life. We build new relationships. We grieve who and what we've lost. And we commit to collective liberation. May we know we do not do it on our own. We are only a part of it. For this special denomination-wide climate justice revival, the UUA commissioned an anthem to celebrate not just today, but to carry forward in years to come, identifying our work for climate justice. Musicians Leah Morris and Adam Pod has gifted us with the song, Part of It.
Here as one voice we choose.
we come together here in this place, in this community, in this worship room, in this sanctuary, to remember what we are a part of. To remember this beautiful planet, this beautiful creation that we are a part of, intricately connected to all that is, intricately bound to it, and to each other, and the other, for whoever that may be for us, knowing that there really is no other, for we are a part of each other. So I invite you to take a moment just to know and feel, literally in your body, what you are a part of. To feel yourselves here with other people, doing the work, asking questions about how to make our lives and our world more beautiful and more just for everyone, and for the earth itself that sustains us. So look around and feel and notice these people that you are gathered here with this morning. Feel your connection to them in this room. Understand, know, feel, experience the task of connection and repair that you take up together by being here. By bringing those connections out with you when you leave this room today. And know what you are a part of too, for we can see it. We can breathe it in, we can feel it. It is who we are. We are a part of it. And though we know deep in our bones, or perhaps we are working to feel and know deep in our bones that we are a part of it, we also know that we are imperfect people. Imperfect people who live in an imperfect world. Isn't it imperfect? Isn't it imperfect? We humans, we people, we have a tendency not to remember all the time that we are a part of it. We have a tendency to want to divide and control our lives and the world. In trying to think about this, the first thing that came to mind for me, because one of my kids just started kindergarten, and I've been looking at some of the books that they're using, and there's a lot of maps in one of them to help them understand some things about how things are spatially arranged. And what strikes me when looking at a map or a globe is how our maps are drawn with boundaries, lines, sometimes very arbitrary straight lines, marking territories and countries and states and estates. We like to separate mine from yours. We even like to say that good fences make good neighbors. But what if that wasn't the case? What if that actually wasn't the case? What if our fences are the problem rather than the solution? So today, as we think about what we are a part of and what we are trying to do together, I invite us to think about our relationships with each other and the world, the earth itself, and to think about what if our maps, our actual maps, or perhaps our mental maps, weren't drawn by territories or demarcation lines, but rather by ecosystems. If we drew our maps as ecosystems, interconnected networks, systems, reminding us of how all life connects to each other, supports each other, affects each other, can poison each other, but also supports and lifts up and strengthens each other. We are gathered here to be reminded of our relationship with the earth and the crossroads that we find ourselves at. We remember that the choices we make today, whether we are here long into the future or not, these choices we make today, these commitments we make today, whether we choose to live in deep connection or disconnection, whether we choose to support each other and the earth, or whether we choose to take from it and to take from one another at the expense of some to benefit others. Those choices matter, and our understanding of the impacts of those choices matter. The reason I suggest this idea of thinking about our maps of our territories as ecosystems is, again, to remember that in an ecosystem, everything is connected. Every plant, every animal, every element of the earth is in a relationship of give and take. Maybe you could think of it like a forest. Maybe you could look out these windows and see the trees. But to know that an ecosystem, a forest, is not just a collection of individual trees. For underground, as you may know, the roots of trees are connected through networks. Deep networks of fungi that share nutrients and support one another. And this kind of cooperation is what helps forests to survive and thrive. This kind of intermingling of roots is what helps all of the trees to survive and gives them resilience and strength and prevents them from being felled. So just like in a forest, maybe we could think of ourselves like trees. Where in our society we might choose to build fences and to separate and to hoard, what if, like trees in a forest, we saw ourselves as also similarly interconnected, also similarly called to intermingle our roots with one another and with the very earth that our roots are planted in? You might think about this in terms of what we do here as a congregation in our lives together. Sometimes we may choose or we may feel like we need to do similar things. We might divide what we are doing into silos, into different groups, and we may find that each person or each group may be focused at any particular time on what they're doing and the importance of it, and it is important, on the importance of their own tasks or their own projects. We might separate our justice work into categories, like racial justice, or economic justice, or climate justice. But if we remember that we are part of an interconnected forest, we are forced to remember that like trees in the forest, all of these things are connected. They can't be separated from one another. Racial justice is tied to economic justice, and climate justice certainly can't be separated from either. For when things get hard, and they are hard, in your individual lives in our world, when things get hard, it's always the most vulnerable people who are most affected. It's always the most vulnerable ecosystems that are most affected. But the earth is our great teacher. The earth must be our literal and figurative grounding. It must show us that healing, that repair, isn't something that can happen in isolation. Because when something is out of balance in nature, it affects the whole system. For example, if you have a gardener, if you know a farmer, the real lasting solution is to cultivate healthy soil. Because a healthy system prevents problems from taking root to begin with. So in the same way, when we take up the work that we do to make our world better, we can't just look for quick fixes. We need to understand what soil is to begin with. A collection of organisms, decomposed organic matter from all of the things, all of the efforts, all of the fruits that came before. And yes, the poisons that we have put into it. We need to understand that what we put into our ground of community matters. We need to understand that we are working with something that we did not necessarily create ourselves, but we are still equally as responsible for it. And we need to remember that real healing, real repair, real rooting can happen when we remember, when we are able, when we try, when we play, when we put our hands in that soil. When we get up close and personal with the dirt. And we get a little dirty. And we understand what lives in it and what we are responsible for. Another reason that I remember that how we are like trees with intermingled roots is really, I was thinking about this because of hurricanes. It is hurricane season, and we just had an example of what hurricanes can do to things that humans build. And if you ever have surveyed the damage or noticed pictures of what happens after hurricanes, we often see that even the most expensive homes can be destroyed, can be washed away. Even the most expensive homes, the most well-built homes, can be affected by the forces of nature. But what often remains are those trees, are those oaks, whose roots do not just go down, but go far and wide and spread out. It's not just because, again, they have those roots, but it is because of the way that they intertwine with each other that they are able to hold each other up. In the aftermath of a hurricane, the earth isn't just showing its power. It isn't just reclaiming territory that human structures have encroached upon. It is showing, it is reminding us that we are guests here on this planet. We do not have dominion over it. We are but one part in this great stage. And it is reminding us that it has the ability, yes, to heal itself and to reclaim what belongs to the earth. I often like to think that however we choose to move forward as a people in addressing the needs of our planet, the needs of our climate, that the earth in many ways doesn't need us. It certainly doesn't benefit very much from us, from having us on this planet. The earth could choose to no longer support us. It could choose, it could remember, it could see our relationship with itself as almost a toxic relationship. It could break up with us. It could send us packing. and it would heal. It would eventually heal itself. But I think we have a vested interest in doing something different. We have a vested interest in the people we care about, in the people who will live long after us. And so if we truly care about them, as we say we do, then we need to see our work in this matter not just as justice work, but as a true spiritual call. It's not just an environmental issue, because the earth will heal itself. It's a spiritual call for us to know and acknowledge what is important, what we say is important to ourselves, what we say we care about, what we say we love, and to weave that deeply into our lives and to what we do as people. And to know that to heal the earth, we have to heal ourselves first, or at the same time. That is what we are truly doing as people. We are healing our culture. We are healing from a culture that divides us, from a culture that asks us to have dominion over something. Healing from a culture that asks us to compete and divide. And so if we are going to heal our culture, heal our own humanity, we can look to people, to groups, to cultures who show us examples of how to live in better relationship with each other and with the earth. All is not lost. All is not hopeless. That's why you're here, I think, this morning. Because you believe somewhere inside of you that we have the tools as people to meet the needs of our world. We have to believe that. I wanted to share maybe just a couple of examples with you of people, of groups, of individuals that are working to embody this idea of interconnectedness and healing. And it is my belief that giving you these examples, lifting up some of these examples, can give us somewhere to begin, a place to work from. An example of what human society, of what culture could look like, should look like, must look like. All around us in our world, there are activists and thinkers, people in this room who are working to remind us that environmental and social justice are inseparable. That real healing requires deep personal and communal work. There's an indigenous activist whose name is Winona LaDuke, and she's an Anishinaabe woman. And she has worked tirelessly to preserve her native lands, lands that belong to all, and the earth itself, and traditional farming practices. In her work, if you go out and you read about it, and I hope you will, it reminds us that true environmental justice isn't just about sustainability practices. It's about respecting the earth's cycles, knowing, understanding them, feeling them, working with them, living with them. Living in a relationship of reciprocity. In her work to restore wild rice cultivation, LaDuke emphasizes that this isn't just a cultural practice to grow rice. It's a sacred relationship with the land. You may know wild rice must grow where the water is clean enough to grow it in, and where the ecosystem is balanced. And also that to grow rice is not something that people can do individually. The process of growing rice and harvesting it is something that takes many, many hands to take up. And so to live in that kind of a farming community, you have to, if you want to eat, understand what it means to be in relationship with other people who are doing that work. Someone else that you might find interesting to learn about more, that I wanted you to know about, is another person named Leah Penniman, who is a Black Creole activist and co-founded a farm called Soulfire Farm. And the work of this farm is to address food sovereignty. So that is access to food and the ability to grow food that people have, and what they call land-based healing. She teaches that the soil itself can be a source of healing, not just for the earth, but for the people who have been displaced and harmed and oppressed by what has been done to the earth. At Soulfire Farm, they use regenerative farming practices, which not only heal the soil, but are also working to heal the historical wounds of colonialism and slavery. This act, through the act of understanding the land, of working with the land, is, I believe, a true form of resistance to a culture of extraction and destruction. It's feeding people, it's nourishing people, it's supporting people through practices that understand, that integrate what it means to be a part of the land. So what do we do to heal from this culture of extraction that we have? What do we do? When for centuries, the very foundation of this land, of this country, of this territory that has been divided up, the culture of colonialism and white supremacy has taught us that humans are better, and that particularly some humans have the right to control others and to control the earth itself. We even see, if you've read recent headlines about preppers, does anyone know about this like prepper culture of people preparing for doomsday? Has anyone heard about that? So there are some really, really fascinating stories of really ultra wealthy who have built these very complex and intricate systems of bunkers for when they need a place to escape to. They've dug deep into the earth to create themselves a place apart from others, to wall themselves off. They've hoarded the things that they needed to hoard in their bunkers. And there's something really interestingly ironic to me about the idea of some people feeling the need to dig deep into the earth. To dig deep into the earth because of our inability to understand a deep relationship with that very earth itself. To almost bury themselves in a sense. There's something really interestingly ironic about that. Because you can't eat gold bars or bunkers. No matter how much wealth is hoarded and buried, it cannot save us from the truth. You cannot eat gold bars. You cannot breathe toxic air. So, what about if we are to see this as a spiritual calling? we might think about our own golden rule that we have, do unto others as you would have done to yourself. But what if for us today, I propose, that instead of a golden rule, we need a dirt rule? In the Judeo-Christian tradition, the first human, Adam, is created literally from the dirt. And the name Adam comes from Adamah, which means the humus or the soil. And so from the very beginning in our stories, we had this idea, this conception in our minds that we were literally made from the soil, from the things that have come before, from the earth itself. So my proposal of a dirt rule, from a spiritual perspective, is to remind ourselves that what we do to the earth, we do to ourselves. What we do to the earth, we do for each other. Because that is who we are. We are the earth. And the earth will heal itself, whether we are a part of that healing or not. So if we want to be a part of the future, if we want further generations to thrive, if we want to change our relationship with the earth, we must change our relationship with each other, with life itself. We must change our relationship with everything. Martin Luther, the great reformer, who asked those in the church to change their relationship with their own power, said this, that if I knew the world was going to end tomorrow, I would still plant my apple tree. Reminding himself, reminding his people that even if we are not here to harvest the fruits of those trees, we must plant the seeds for the future. Even, and perhaps most in the case of when the future feels uncertain. So I invite you today, as you go from here, to imagine yourselves as rooted, as connected to the earth, as connected to each other. To remember that just like strong and beautiful trees, our roots are intertwined. We must water those roots with clean water. We must tend to those roots with loving hands. We must commit to planting good seeds in our soil. We must commit to the work of justice and healing. We must commit to knowing that the work we do today can grow into something. We must be willing to get our hands dirty. We must be willing to play in that dirt together until we can look down at our hands and wonder, where does the dirt stop and my own hand begins? And that's when we will know that we have begun to heal from our wounds of extraction, from our wounds of separation, when we can see the earth in ourselves and in each other. As we prepare to leave this place, may we rise together, hand in hand, heart in heart, knowing that the earth calls us to heal, to restore, and to rebuild, to know what we are connected to. And may we sing and dance our way towards justice, heads held high as we seek a brighter day for all. Let us remember that, like the earth, we are resilient when we stand together, when we rise together, when we move together, when we find and know our strength. So go with courage and love to rise, to move together, knowing that the journey towards freedom and justice is our collective song. And the promised land is something that we must be building together, always.